Hey, I want to start off this week's pod with just a peep. I got a peep, dude.
Okay.
Dude, I'm going crazy with some of these people. I mean, if you're out there, don't feel embarrassed here, but people posting videos on Instagram of their concerts. So their concert experience.
Yeah.
So it's like this really intimate moment they're having. And I get that they want to share these moments, but the gap between their experience and mine viewing this on Instagram,
it's a deep
it's too
clip.
big. It's too big.
It's
I mean, take your
Trench.
take your picture. Cool. I'll see it. I'm like, oh yeah, they went to the concert, but like these people are posting like 5 videos of concerts.
Like a lip sync, turn back to the camera, they're lip syncing back to the stage.
Hey, I can empathize. They're having a moment, and a lot of times when you're having moments, you want other people to experience it, but the gap is too big.
Yeah,
like,
they don't realize how much we don't care.
It's not that we don't care, it's that we just can't feel what they're feeling.
I don't care.
Yeah,
no,
Alex doesn't care.
I actually had the most amazing thing happen to me. Sometimes you're just rolling sevens and life is good, right? So my wife like guilts me into getting Post Malone tickets, and I cannot name, like, this is how like stupid I am.
This is where I was coming from, because I mean, I kind of felt like I went there, because on Instagram it's like 40 minutes of people like filming, like they think it looks closer than it is, like they'll zoom in on Post's face.
Like, oh, you can't. To
like,
me, the
guys,
only thing it brings is judgment. Like,
they
can't afford floor seats.
We gotta relax on this. And you see people surfing, like, surfing behind like a boat. This is exactly the same thing.
The same thing.
The difference between doing it and watching it is huge.
So huge.
So the people doing the surfing, they're feeling awesome, but people in the boat are like, it's not that cool.
Yeah, I like when I go surfing with people, and they ask me like, "Oh, what'd you think? Like, how'd I do?" I have to tell them like, "Hey, I'll ride on this boat, but I will never watch people surf. It's so boring. Even like the greatest,
because they're feeling like amazing. They're cutting. They're going up and down.
And I'm a good
wave.
surfer. Like I can see somebody who's a really good surfer and be like, wow, that'd be hard to do, but I still lose interest.
Yeah,
like
watching
that.
is a little
so
dull.
Boring.
Anyways, get back to what you're saying about you're rolling freaking.
So I'm feeling great because so my wife guilts me months ago into getting tickets to Post Malone, and I don't like concerts, period. I've never followed Post Malone, even though I know he's a big hit. I'm not like, it's just I just don't, I don't know, I'm lame with music, right?
Yeah, but I love him.
Yeah. People really like him. But to go to his concert when the only song I know is the Spider-Man song, that Sunflower song, that's the only song I could be like confidently tell you that's Post Malone. And I think he even sings that with somebody else. And the person who sings that I like probably is the other dude.
Okay.
Or that I like him, right? But anyways, I'm feeling like crap. Like I'm like dreading this concert. And a couple days before, Liz, like sometimes I can hate this person so much, but then she just steps up big and went to the concert with my wife.
Yeah.
Zach's wife did.
I mean, it looked like they had a good time. And Liz, I don't know if she was guilty of posting videos, but people do that.
Kelsey didn't, but Kelsey does that.
Yeah, I don't want to be like the negative guy. So let's move to something a little more positive that I like people doing. So like even on the way to work here today, I let somebody in on the freeway that was trying to get over, and they gave me a wave, and I felt so good. Like, that's great communication.
Yeah. It's not easy to tell people to get in. That's a team effort.
That's a little more on a positive note. But we've had tons of stuff we got to cover today.
Tons of stuff.
Let's just jump right into the debate. We all watched it, and
I know, isn't it weird though that we all watched it?
What
debate did we watch 10 years ago?
No, but I started it like 30 minutes after, so I could fast forward, and I ended up just skipping a lot of both of them because they're hard to watch.
Yeah,
the cat part was amazing. So if you don't know, like, apparently some of these not illegal, but immigrants from Haiti are going into like, what's this? Is it Ohio? And they're eating domestic cats.
Trust me, I would say this is probably like a one-off, right? Like, we know immigrants, like we both spent a lot of time in other countries. They're not gobbling down like pets and creatures.
Yeah, but let's go over this is the thing that jumped out to me. So he's throwing out this, which I thought was a really stupid thing to talk about, is to go after these random cases of people eating dogs or cats in these neighborhoods, these Haitians.
Yeah.
But then over in Haiti, you remember, like, you brought up barbecue. What is happening in Haiti it's crazy over there. So these people coming over, like, they're doing what they have to do to survive. So I actually believe it. Like, there could be a chance that they could be having to eat dogs at this point.
I would kill for somebody to eat our pet lizard. It's the biggest pain in the freaking butt for me, right? Our lizard, because my kids are way into it, and now it's just me that takes care of it, and I'm the one who feels guilty when he's going hungry.
Yeah, so you need some Haitians to come in.
So I would love a Haitian to just freaking spigot that thing.
I pulled up the best. Someone posted this on like X, but it's a picture of like a young lady helping an old lady, and this is exactly what happened with Trump. Like he could have a point there, but it's just not something you say out loud. So this old lady's like, the internet used to come through the phone and it sounded like screaming robots. And then it has like some lady, like younger lady pushing her, like, sure, grandma, let's get you to bed. That's what I thought with Trump when he brought up the dogs. You're like, all right, grandpa, relax here. Like, I get that could be true, but it's not something you want to vocalize.
You find yourself screaming at the TV because you're like, you're, as much as I think our generation, like there are definitely a few Trumpers out there. I feel like most of us are looking at like voting for the least worst of the two terrible candidates, right? Like, and Trump, you watch him on there and you want to just yell at the TV because you're like, say this or this or this. And instead he reverts back to, those trans illegal aliens getting surgeries paid for in the prisons. I'm like, what the freak are you talking about?
These two Haitians that maybe like ate a dog.
Talk about the economy, right? Like just hit her at the economy. Talk about like how flip-floppy she is, how Kamala now supports every single thing that the Democrats hated Trump for supporting 8 years ago, right? Like every single thing she now is. She's pro fracking. She wants it. Like they banned that pipeline day one.
Yeah.
Gas prices surge. Their popularity dips, and so then they have to try and get it back online, right?
She worked him though. She just dangled that carrot, and he went for it.
Oh, he would go for it every time. That's the other thing too, is say one personal thing to Trump, like, hey, he's declared bankruptcy 6 times.
She
before he'd answer a question, he'd get distracted into building himself back up in front of people. It's like nobody gives a damn about like your ego here. But whatever.
Yeah, it was.
I also hate the people that are like, Trump won that thing, dude. That was Trump. I'm like, Trump got killed.
Trump lost.
Yeah.
But I thought she did. I mean, that's her job. She's a prosecutor. She's good in those situations. And you can tell she had rehearsed a lot.
Oh, she had rehearsed a ton. And she probably rehearsed with the moderators.
But she adapted like as it went, which was good. I mean, you can always say the moderators, but like a lot of people they're like in between. And so they're just seeing what they're seeing.
Ultimately, it won't matter much because I don't think there's a million undecided voters out there. I don't. Like, I think in the last elections there were a bunch because you had COVID that had hit. Everything was unsure. You had the George Floyd murder and like a poor response from like the Trump administration regarding that, right? And so everything was up in the air. This one, I feel like I think if you voted today versus voting in November, I think it would be almost identical.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you're going to lose swing states or gain swing states. I think people have already decided. So all this debate's going to do is provide them with the sound bites that they want to support the candidate they've already decided to vote for. Does that make sense?
And it's kind of surprised me. This is like and this will get to our day in history, but this is like, did they cover 9/11 at all? Like even like give any like tribute to it at all? Like
not really.
Because it was kind of right on that. I feel like if someone came out, it's like, hey, let's first like, take a moment to like think about like our first responders. That would have been a big hit.
That would have been a big hit. Yeah. Like, hey, I know. And I think, yeah, I mean, we don't even know what I think anymore.
Well, let's get in 9/11 because that's our day in history today.
Okay.
Where were you?
So I remember I think it was Mr. Beck's. It was a science class when like the principal homework comes on the thing and starts announcing and talking about it. But
yeah.
That's where where it was like, okay, this is for real.
Mm-hmm. We were in shop class and we had this TV going the whole time.
Yeah, that was us too.
It was wild. So let's go over the timeline of what happened and what exactly happened.
Yeah. Do I get to be like go into like what actually happened, or do we?
No, we can delve into some of the like what actually happened. Let's go off of just basics right now. 4 planes are hijacked. September 11th morning, right? They all were like loaded up with tons of gas at this point. Because that was like, I don't know if that was a strategy by Al Qaeda or what.
Yeah.
But essentially, it was like, I think there was like 19 Al Qaeda, I guess they'd be part of Al Qaeda, these, terrorists. They're jumping on these planes. So some of them were pilots. I think they had like 3 or 4 people that actually knew how to fly a plane. And the rest of them are people like are helping hijack. I think there was like 19 of them. But they sneak onto these 4 planes, and one hits the tower first. I think it was like the North Tower, right?
Yep.
Hits the tower, and then like 20 minutes later, one hits the other tower next to it. And they've only I think they burn for like, it's like an hour before they both collapse.
Yeah, they were on there for a while because we'd sent firefighters in, right? That's a huge number of firefighters and policemen that died.
There was like 400 firefighters that died.
Trying to put it out. Yeah.
3,000 people died between all the plane crashes. So you have those two that hit there, and then another tower, like because it caught on fire from these other two that wasn't actually hit. Like I think it was building 7 collapses.
7.
Yeah, building 7. That's like the conspiracy one, but like it collapses. Nobody dies in that building. They'd evacuated. That burned for like hours and hours. And then you have one hitting the Pentagon. So you have your third plane hitting the Pentagon, right? Which that'd be a tricky little flight. Like they had to know to fly because they're,
Well, it was like a smaller plane that hit that one. And then you had the fourth plane that was stopped by the passengers that crashed in the field.
Crashing a field in Pennsylvania. And they don't know exactly where they're going, but they guessed like the capital because it was like, flying from.
Which is like most American story of it, right? Like that, like they had figured out what was likely going to happen and knowing that they would likely, they were going to die either way, like fought.
Yeah, there was people on the phone with like, I think one was up with his wife and it's like, hey, we had to make something. We have to like stop them. Like someone's been stabbed. Like it's been hijacked. But
yeah. And if you remember the world pre 9/11, it was like, it changed so much in terms of security, right? Like going to the airport back in the day, you'd go see your cousin off to his mission and you would go right up to the airport gate as like a non-flying person. You'd get right up to the gate and see him off. You didn't have TSA, which was amazing, by the way. Some of the the best things to come from 9/11.
We're real pros here.
The best things to come from 9/11 was you will never. There was never a moment in my life, and I don't think there will ever be a moment since where the country felt more united.
Oh, okay.
Where I felt more proud. Like I remember being at a football game, singing, "Proud to be an American," and just like feeling.
No, that stuff stuff unites people. Like I remember even like France and people being like, "Today we're all Americans," and like one of the most badass things I remember as a kid is Bush like going to ground zero like that same day. Well, I don't know if it was that same day. Maybe it was the next day because he was like stuck in the air for like 8 hours to keep him safe. But some guy, he's like trying to talk on that like microphone thing, and this guy's like, "I can't hear you." He's like, "Well, I can hear you," and all the people that did this are gonna hear from us. It was sweet.
Yeah, there was a real patriotic movement. I remember being on my mission years later, and Mexicans. Like getting in a fight with Mexicans over which country was the greatest of all. And them like talking about the towers and saying like, "Que se caigan," like let them fall. And I like wanting to get into a fight at that moment, right? Like just so mad and so pissed off. Did it make you
be less facetious about, Cortez?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like maybe Cortez had the right idea. Here, have this blanket full of smallpox.
Oh my friends. Yeah. What was like, so at that time, what's the motive here behind like Al Qaeda? So from what I know, like Bin Laden, he was Saudi aristocrat at this point. Like he'd grown up and then he'd joined the Afghan cause against the Soviet Union.
They move in and fight this long war against the Afghanis, and just like us, they end up losing, right, over years. Part of it's we were like, again, sending in these paramilitary groups like Al Qaeda that were religious.
But Afghanis, like, what are they fighting for? This one, they want. It's not a revolution. They want to kick Russia out and become like an Islamic state at this point. And that's really what some of these extremists want is Islam. Don't separate church from state.
Yeah. So Osama bin Laden does this. They win, but starts to get
crazy.
We say crazy, right? But he starts to get very disenfranchised with Saudi Arabia. King of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince or whatever, he's only propped up by the American military. He's a completely ruthless dictator. He's an evil dude, and America's only keeping him in power because he'll do what we want and play our games right there because we're power broking over there. So Osama bin Laden gets extremely frustrated with the United States meddling and not letting the Middle East sort itself out.
Yeah.
Which in reality, not much is going to change if it sorts itself out. These are groups that have fought wars since way before Islam.
But I get what you almost
during Islam and they will after Islam, right? But this is where you have to look at it like, hey, did we deserve to get attacked? Not in the slightest, right? But are there consequences for meddling in foreign affairs? Mm-hmm. For sure, there are consequences, right? Like there's essentially two countries. We have America at home, and then we have the American empire abroad. And the CIA runs the American empire abroad, right?
There you go.
And so that's where. But Ron Paul gets on this speech when he's running for president, and he's like, "Hey, like we have to look at what we can change in our foreign policy that might have sparked a 9/11, right? They aren't coming over here because they hate our freedoms, right? And that's what that was the feeling after 9/11 for years and years and years.
It wasn't because of freedom.
They hate our freedoms
because we were meddling.
Yes, that's what they hate. They hate the fact that we're free. They hate the fact that we have. Our women that aren't dressed like that was the vibe though that I had, right? Where I'm like, hey man, they just hate the fact that our girls don't wear hijabs, that we're educated, that we aren't religious freaks, right? Like they are, like they hate that about us. And in reality, they don't care about that.
No, these were all very like the top guys were very, very educated and spent time in the U.S. I think the majority of the 19 hijackers were Saudis originally.
Yeah,
but I think they get disenfranchised with the Saudis, and then like that's the interesting part. Is we think like, okay, what is Al Qaeda? Is it Afghanistan? No, Taliban was kind of like helping cushion Al Qaeda, but Al Qaeda isn't just Afghanistan. It's just this group that's like wants this. Does not want to have church and state separate. They want an Islamic state everywhere over there, and they like want to like, and they're sick of people meddling. So it's like. I think they saw us as weaker. Like they thought like, hey, we're going to expose these people. We know they're weak. We know they bail out of like a lot of things, which we have done, like with Vietnam and different things where we meddle and then like we don't really know what our place is. And so I think it was also just it was somewhat of a power move, but also one to be like, hey, just leave us alone.
Yeah. And again, not to get too negative, because whenever you respond to whether it's violence that America perpetrated on them or not, when you respond to violence with violence, like it's just, and it didn't go well for Al Qaeda, right? It didn't go well for us, right? When we responded back, right? Like,
where does it? You just don't know where it's going to end.
It doesn't, right?
It doesn't end. Is the problem. End. So like if it was like an eye for an eye, then it makes more sense. But it's never an eye. It's never that simple.
The hate is perpetrated.
It just keeps going. But I'm always thinking of like, but what was the point? What's Al Qaeda's motive here? Because they're not going to sit there. They're not trying to take over the U.S. They're not trying to like attack the U.S. I think it's just like I don't know if it's a flex move of being like, hey, you know what? You mess around with us too much. We're going to like draw a line in the sand type of thing.
Well, what's terrorism's motive ever?
Yeah. Well, theirs is they actually have like a clear writing of like, we want an Islamic State.
Yeah. I think he would have had demands, right? And he would have been. And I think their thought was, hey, let's attack. Let's show them that we can hit them. Mm-hmm. And let's show them that we can hurt them. And then maybe they'll start playing ball with some of our demands.
Which is interesting.
Because the World Trade Center was supposed to cripple the economy, right? Like this is, in their minds, this was going to devastate the economy.
They did shut down trading for like 4 days, and you couldn't fly for a couple of days. But yeah, it is. I do think you have to have a reaction. I don't know if say we don't react, are they going to keep attacking? I don't, no idea. Like, I do think they have a vendetta against the U.S. and against people meddling. It's not just like, hey, we want this Islamic State, like leave us alone. It's more like, hey, we're pissed about stuff you've done to us in the past, but we also want this Islamic State. So it's a mixture of like motives there for sure.
Yeah, it depends on how you want to react. Are you going to react by looking at the past and what could have created this amount of hate, or are you going to start from fresh and say, hey, they hate us for no reason, and so now we have to react this way because we're combating hate, right? We're not combating, this isn't human. These aren't human beings with legitimate or illegitimate complaints. Like, we're combating hatred and violence, and we need to respond to and so I think the way we responded was like arguably the worst possible response that we could have had, and the most detrimental to the history of America since then.
This is the biggest attack we've ever had on U.S. soil, as far as like surprise attack, even compared to Japan. I think that more people were killed in the World Trade Centers than in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But like the difference between Pearl Harbor is that you had this country to attack right after. It was like more of like a, hey, they attack us because we're like doing all these like tariffs and different things on there. Not tariffs, but like embargoes. Like,
yeah.
But like it was more straightforward. This was like, okay, who attacked us? It wasn't this country that attacked us. It was just this idea of like,
we wanted revenge,
Yeah, we
right?
wanted
Like you wanted
revenge.
revenge, and you didn't have a.
well, you have to
You
have
didn't have a specific target that you could, a specific country you could go after.
exactly. And
And
so
so
that was a
instead-
big difference between versus Japan attacking and Al Qaeda attacking, which Al Qaeda is just like a gang. So anyways, back to the World Trade Centers. They 3,000 people died. Some of the stories looking into it is just are pretty crazy. Like there was a guy that was in an elevator that survived.
Oh, really?
Like he got hit and like it was like the last he got off, and getting off the elevator like a couple minutes before they completely tumbled down. But it is sad to hear. I've told my kids about it too. Like people going upstairs, like you pass these firefighters that are going upstairs knowing they're not coming back, and these people going down past them. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Overall, like,
Yeah.
what a crazy. I mean, the world stopped turning. What a crazy day in history for us to like live through. I definitely think it will be the most unique historical event that any of us in
It's
our
our
generation.
Pearl Harbor for sure.
But also one to where we can have reverence for it, we can have respect for it, but we can also learn from it and see like where we could how we can avoid this in the future, because it will happen again if we continue the same way we always have.
Yeah.
Something along the lines. So I canceled my Cybertruck order.
Oh my gosh. I was listening to a podcast and they were like, I like people driving because you can identify the douchebags instantly. But what's funny about you is you're not a douchebag.
Thank you.
But you have douchebag car taste sometimes.
Yeah,
So
for
like,
sure.
For sure. Because you get like the rack I used to give you crap for.
Yeah.
So it is like this anomaly. So maybe they're not all douchebags. Maybe they just have this interesting
We're
taste.
overcompensating
Like,
for something.
this is like the equivalent to you wearing like Ed Hardy jeans into this pod or something.
I'll tell you, like, the reason I want the Cybertruck is 50%, the front end of it is freaking cool, and the technology is freaking cool. Like, I love the front end. I love it, right? And then 50% of it is I love Elon Musk. Like, I love Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And I think it's, like, cool what he's done, and I like that he's taken...
This
it looks like a concept car that got made.
Yeah.
And concept cars always actually look way awesome, and then they never get made.
Never made it. Yeah,
they always make like the lamest version of it. And so
this is like the equivalent of you just putting on your Letterman jacket, dude. This is your Letterman jacket.
Well, you remember me in junior high, dude. Hey,
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you were freaking sweet. Then you were like an SBO guy. You had to wear that really thick jacket, even on hot days. I always felt bad for SBO people because like,
don't feel bad for us.
That's the only swag you got too.
Yeah.
Like now I bet they get tons of stuff, but they just put you in this big wool shirt and made you like, oh yeah, it's summertime. You still have to like go out and take pictures and stuff.
So I have this still, and I'll throw it on every once in a while. Like my kids, I can tell they start looking down on me. I'm like, I need to flex a little bit.
Random
still fits.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
A random girl I went to school with, her husband I've become friends with a little bit, and he sent me a picture the day. It was me in junior high, and it was a picture. It said most likely to become president.
You?
Yeah,
you got it.
That's what I want. I was just standing there like with my hooded sweatshirt. Like I'm sure it was like ironic.
What an interesting,
Because I don't have a lot of aspirations.
Yeah.
But if I can get out there, if I can get on a debate table, if that's what we're debating about is like cats getting eaten, like Alf.
You also
down.
don't have a lot of enemies though, so you might be perfect for it. Maybe in like a Washington role. You know, that's like the greatest leader that you can come across is somebody who doesn't want it, right? That's what we're looking for.
I if I can debate about the cats, and I would have brought Alf into it. Like we're making these TV shows where this freaking aliens eating our cats.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Alf.
And that's like, what's the difference between that and Trump?
But people would love that. People would they want to laugh, you know?
Yeah, there needs to be more comic relief.
Like they were like, oh, it was bad.
It was bad, dude. Let's get in some more news right now. This was really good. This might scare you a little bit.
Okay.
So, they're making these, making bots like crazy, this AI stuff. They attach this robot to a mushroom, and the mushroom is able to control the robot. So literally it puts all these like, fingers or like little legs on this mushroom, and this mushroom, they're smart. They have like almost like brains, but they're controlling these legs and it's moving. This is bad news for us.
That is bad news.
Bad news. Cornell, I'm like, what's the point of doing this? They say it's
like awaken like some hidden power in the earth.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So they're saying if you want to build future robots, how can they work in the unexpected environment? We can leverage these living systems, and any unknown input comes in, and the robot will respond to that. That kind of freaks you out just a little bit. I don't want some like, mushroom type brain coming around and crawling into my house and
Mario did a lot
with my guns.
Mario's done a lot of good for the mushroom, but really it's something we should be afraid of. They're not going to be these adorable little like power-ups that you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind eating a mushroom, but then like they're going to get pissed. They're going to come after me for eating. Because
what is this? Isn't it like this fungi that's like can like talk to each other underneath? You've watched all the TV shows. Yeah. So we're giving them legs.
Yeah.
We're giving them
powering them up.
Come on, Cornell. Relax.
No, this is a stupid idea, but
it kind of that's the type of stuff that freaks me out a little bit. I'm more freaked out for my grandkids who I don't know, who I might not even like.
Yeah.
So
you might like this might be a good thing.
Maybe this be a good thing.
Yeah.
Keep them on their toes. Keep them on their toes.
No. So the start of the football season,
dude. Football
wasn't it just like the best? Like, I mean, I love my kids, but man, I freaking love football.
The first day of football is an emotional roller coaster because you have your team that's going to play with the Niners, but also fantasy football. You're just like, it can make or break your day, but you're like, every year, you're like, I'm not going to let this affect me.
Yeah.
But literally, Liz could probably watch my moods go up and down off of like what's happening.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself I'm not going to let it do that. And every year it freaking gets to me, dude.
The only way you're not going to do that is if you don't look at it.
Yeah.
But then when you check later and you're like, oh, I forgot.
But I actually felt kind of, I watched, Liz is like, hey, I'm going to be cool. I'm going to let you watch football all day. And I did.
What a cool chick.
She's such a cool chick.
Yeah.
But I came out and I actually felt like, in those movies where they come out of like the bar or like the strip club in the middle of the day and like the sun hits.
Yeah.
I felt like that.
I felt that a little bit too.
I need to watch, I need to pace myself here. I came in hot and I was literally like exhausted watching football.
Well, you have your break at 11 a.m. football starts, and then you will watch until 5:30 p.m.
Yeah.
And then you have an hour break before football starts again, and you're watching. If that's a good game, you're watching that until 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a long day. I felt the same way. And if your fantasy football team is killing it, I'm loving it all day, right?
You're having a great day.
Like, baby,
it really does change your day.
I just hand her like $30-$40 cash.
No, for real. And if Liz ever listens to this, like if she's like, hey, can I buy, this $200 dress or something? If she says something like that to me on a normal day, I'm saying no. But if my team just is dominant, like, here's a credit card. Boom, I'm way cooler.
Yeah. It is. It's funny because financially it doesn't directly correlate that much. Like, yeah, you're winning $10, but I think
has nothing to do. It's just your mood.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Same with drugs. Drugs do that to me too. I'm way cooler and nicer on drugs.
Yeah.
I let Liz Liz is always trying to drug me out.
What if you can combine the two?
Oh, you have like a headache here. Take this Loratab, and then she's asking me later on if she can hey, is it cool if you stay with the kids while I go shopping? And I'm just sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I love you,
bad
babe.
combo. Love you, babe. Anyways, yeah, fantasy football. I gotta chill, and I chill out a little later, but that first week's intense.
Yeah, I don't think I chill out. I'm not chilling out until I've locked up a playoff spot.
And you saw watching Tom Brady is like watching a soulless robot, though.
Yeah,
that guy, great, dude. He's not. I mean, it's his first time, so I'm not going to judge him off of that. But also, I just don't. You can kind of read his personality. He's been around. He's in the media constantly.
Yeah. You
kind of know you're not going to just chill and watch a game with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't.
He's really analytical. His face looks weird, dude.
I haven't met like a broadcaster that.
I like Joe Buck.
See, I like Joe Buck too, but people hate. Like, I'll hear people like Joe Buck's an idiot. I'm like,
dude, come on, Joe Buck's the freaking man.
I like Aikman. I think Aikman's great.
Aikman's good, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that Tom Brady replaced, Greg Olson, I really like too. And
yeah,
I like Aikman. Anyone with personality, I like. And Tom Brady is not a personality.
How would you do as an announcer?
I would suck, dude.
What would be your screen name? Because we know Joe Buck's real name isn't Joe Buck. So what would be your screen name?
What do you mean? I've been saying it for years. Ron Gatorade.
Oh, Ron Gatorade.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've been doing this before Anchorman came out. We had these names for all my friends. So there was a Stud Riley, there was a Nimoy Hurricane, Chip McKenzie.
Nimoy Hurricane.
Yeah, that was Zach Stapp. This is before Anchorman. And literally, when I went on my mission, Anchorman comes out and they're like, have all these. Ron Burgundy is the guy's name. Like, I've been Ron Gatorade.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
so,
Ron Gatorade record.
Anyways, people aren't gonna believe that, but it's true.
Jose Mayonnaise.
Oh my gosh, these are all.
He
names.
was your Spanish correspondent.
Yeah,
these guys probably these might be our only listeners to the pod, so we might need to go through all of them.
I think that is all. Stud Riley was another one.
Yeah,
did I already say him?
You said Stud Riley.
Frick.
Stud, hey Stud, you know who you are.
Shout out, my boy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah, so we were long before that. That would be me as a sports broadcaster.
Yeah,
Ron Gatorade.
No, sometimes I'll listen to the pod right when I really need to pick me up, and I don't think I speak. I personally think I speak really, really well, and I think my evidence for this. I don't think sometimes I'll crack a joke that I'll be like, okay, that required layers of like communicating to hit, and they'll hit sometimes, right? But I listen to the pod, I'm like, man, I can sometimes just be a little unclear with where I'm going, so I might not be the greatest.
I would say most of the time that's it. And I usually, when I cut the pod up, I usually try to make it where you sound a little more ambiguous.
Yeah. Oh, you're screwing me for sure, but
that's where you're getting your words. I'm like cutting in all different types of opinions.
Yeah.
So I know you've voiced a lot of stuff today, but it's not going to come out the same way on the other end.
Hello, Kamala. I think you're quite good.
Yeah.
At debate.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's exciting. What else is happening in the news?
So do you remember going to Smith's when we were kids and you'd walk past that like little mini arcade setup they'd have? Smith's grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have those claw machines. And
the claw machine.
Like if you could get like a freaking Ninja Turtle out of there.
Kids are sucker for the claw because they can see like a tangible item, they just grab it.
Well, and you've never won, but you know somebody who's won, right? Like you know a guy, so you're like, I know this is possible.
Yeah.
Well, in Brazil, those are like over the years, those have gotten like more popular, and sometimes now they'll like kind of combo them with like they'll have electronics in them. You know, you can get an iPod or whatever. But in Brazil, they're really cracking down on the claw machines. Apparently, they're still a really big deal out there, and so the government felt like they needed to come scrutinize them and realize that. This is going to shock you. The claw machine is actually rigged.
The mob
you aren't going to actually, yeah.
The mobs got involved with the claw machines.
Yeah, the mobs, the oligarchs out there and the mobs, they're rigging the machines to really benefit them, you know.
My gosh, this is like, I mean, we're talking about machines now where like these mushrooms attaching to machines, but like the real enemy is these claw machines growing up. I've used a lot of money on these stupid claw machines.
Oh, yeah. I was just on a cruise.
And they look so much stronger than they are. All of a sudden, like the hands, the little 3 prongs just give way and your stuffed animal falls out of your freaking thing and you're so disappointed. And Dad's like, oh, we're all out of tokens, son.
Yeah. No, I was just on a cruise and they have like Sonic and like Sonic's enemy is Shadow, right? And so my youngest are like obsessed with this. So I go and I just try one. I'm like, I'll just try one, see how easy it is. And I catch the Shadow, which is Wes's favorite. And then Kit's like, okay, I want the Sonic. You just got Wes the Shadow. I'm like, all right, this is easy. $100 later.
You fell for it.
I still did not have
as an adult. And
the very first one, I got the Shadow, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why it's rigged. That's with the Brazilians. They probably like, hey, let's script it. Like every 30 minutes, reset it, have them catch something the first time. Give the claw strength.
Yeah.
And after that first claw strength, they erase it. So I'm proud of it. That's what I want our government to start doing. If they're going to get involved, start taking these freaking machines away from these poor kids.
Yeah. Well, think of the poverty it perpetuates, you know, these claw machines. Because you start saving, you're like, okay, I'm going to save my money for some college. You know, I want to get educated. I'm going to get out.
These poor freaking Brazilians.
And then you're on your way. You got all your money. You're going to take it to the bank into your college fund. And you like all of a sudden are eyeing that freaking stuffed dinosaur. You're like,
over here in the States,
really go for that.
Yeah. In the States, we're too worried about like hiring more IRS agents. I mean, these guys it's a way bigger problem.
Yeah, it is. I know.
That's what our debates. Why are we not talking about these
claw machines? Well, Trump did.
We're talking about 4 eaten dogs, like allegedly.
Yeah. Trump did, but they were like the moderators were fact checking them. Like, there's no claw machines.
Yeah.
No claw machine problems. You don't get any problems.
I have another interesting piece of news as well. In Spain, people are going to these grocery stores and they're putting I think it's like a pineapple, but they're putting it upside down to like signal to other people at the grocery store that they're single. They're kind of going old school that way.
Yeah, the piña, dude. In Mexico,
like, why would you not? That seems like a really, really fine brush, because you can go like on Facebook and just say you're single, right? And you get like hundreds of people like knowing. But instead, you're like, I mean, how many of these young people are shopping? You're hoping to pass somebody.
I'm embarrassed because I will always tip my pineapples up.
Well, with your wife and you pass somebody else that you're like, oh, you flip your fruit around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing that here.
Well, Mexico, they call it chupar la piña. Was like,
yeah.
I remember you writing me on your mission. You're like, dude, before you come out here, you got to chupar la piña.
That's roughly translated to suck on the pineapple,
which was make out, I think.
Which is like make out. It was like slang for making out. What I thought at that time. Who knows what the Mexicans have done to it now?
Yeah, they do. They tend to take something.
But this was over in Spain, so they're a little more literal with their fruit. You know. I need one more from you. What's that happening out there on the webs?
Yeah, so the Japanese, those tricksy little buggers, but they have a real population problem. They are projected to be at like 50 million here in the next 50 million population, which was less people than they had before World War II. So
why is there just women are working more, or like what's they're like just not promoting families? Is there a tax break with not having kids? Is there some weird thing going on there?
No, I think culturally, like they've shifted. I think they work a lot, and so when you work a lot and your spouse works a lot, right? When you have that, I think you feel overwhelmed with the idea of making time for a child, right? And so, so I think like a big part of it was that, and so. Yeah, but I mean, the U.S. is suffering from this as well, just a little later stage. But to promote it, the government's like, they're doing everything. They've created dating apps. They're like some of the first dating apps are Japanese dating apps, right?
The government's making dating apps?
Yeah, like trying to get people, like setting up like single parties for people, like the government's sponsoring. And I don't know if it's the government or companies that will get reimbursed by the government for promoting like
subsidized.
Yeah. And they had this program where they would it was like farmersonly.com, right? Like, you don't have to be lonely. Have you heard that commercial?
Man, yeah.
It's like, and what they do is they would try and hook up rural men with city women.
With city women?
Yeah.
So they'd pay the women to go out and...
Yeah, and they had to... Apparently it was not the success they wanted. And so they had to scrap it.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of depressing,
Hint, Spain.
Yeah.
Spain, like they don't give any money. They're just like, just go ahead and turn your fruit around in the grocery store. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know that's a hot topic.
I wonder if that's a big culture shock, because like in the States, if I'm like, let's say Los Angeles, you take a woman and you're like, hey, we'll pay you $10,000 a year if you go and marry, this slack-jawed yokel out in freaking rural Kansas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a freaking reality TV show if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I think, and in America, it's like for the first times like ever we had a negative growth rate over the last few years, and so
not me. You know what I'm saying, dog?
Yeah, you're.
I got 4 of them.
But so it's become a hot political topic of like, hey, we should like promote having kids, but then you had the Republicans who were attacking like in vitro fertilization, but Trump's like very pro IVF, and so he's like, hey, I'm not only going to promote it, I'm going to make it free for everybody.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that if you could just be like, I'm going to create that baby, just point your finger and just start building one.
They say a lot of things. I promised Sprite out of every vending machine.
Yeah.
And trust me, I didn't get it passed through.
I know you.
But I got a lot of voters from that.
Well, you were always up at those vending machines. As Helms, we were always up there just trying to scrounge for change, because a dime could go a long way into a pack of Skittles.
Our listeners might have some empathy towards this, but like back in the day, a Snicker bar in a vending machine was 65 cents, and I didn't have 75 cents, let alone I had no extra money to get a Snicker bar at school.
Right.
So I'd sit by the machine and just collect dimes, because people would put in 75 cents and I'd be like, hey, you don't want your change? And you'd have those people that were like, I'm not giving you your money. Like, you know how we treat the homeless, we treat the homeless now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can empathize with them for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd collect, I mean, people don't want a dime. So I would take the dimes and I'd eventually get, 6 or 7 of them, get my Snicker bar just in the nick of time before class started.
See, and
I was a legend, dude.
I saw what you did and I tried to replicate it, but I wanted to add value to it. So there was actually a sucker machine up there, a Chupa Chup sucker machine up there. But the problem is there's a lot of really good Chupa Chup flavors and there's a lot of terrible Chupa Chup flavors. And I had a system where I could tell what the next flavor was going to be. You had to look at it in a certain angle and you had to be really familiar with the packaging of the Chupa Chup. So I would say, hey, if you give me a quarter, I will tell you what sucker you'll get.
Oh, you were like a freaking
fortune teller.
Fortune teller up there.
Early psychic.
We had different strategies. But you were going for a whole quarter. I was just like,
well, I was trying to add value. Right? I was just like, hey, can I have that dime?
I was like the guy on.
You're gonna need that nickel.
Yeah, that was me. I was like on Napoleon Dynamite. It's like, hey, give me the tots. Give me the rest of your tots. Give me that dime. Yeah, I was that guy. Liz, my wife, she would hate the junior high Zach because I'd be like, hey, babe, I can't talk to you now. I gotta go work my machine because I need that Snicker bar before third period.
See, I'd be the opposite. Junior high Alex actually hates Kelsey.
Really?
Yeah, he would hate Kelsey.
Junior high Alex would be flipping
he'd be with
pineapples over.
He'd already have a Cybertruck. He'd be with Taylor Swift right now. Okay, I mean, you saw me in that officer jacket, dude. I was like freaking
Taylor Swift, dude. I was talking to Liz about this. I'm like, your girl is trashy. Like, she dresses like really tacky. And I was like, and she actually like gave me a little satisfaction. She's like, yeah, I know she does. And I was like, oh, I thought I just discovered that because she does. I don't think.
Well,
she
I'm not
dresses
saying
well.
like because she's the prettiest, but because we would use each other. Like a Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton use each other to vault to the top. Meaning I would have already been at the top, and she would be using me for my access.
I think Hillary wants to leave Bill all the time, and he just freaking busts out that saxophone, plays her little melody.
Can you imagine?
And she melts right back into his bed.
I wish Bill Clinton would run again. Just play that sax up there. I got to tell you what I've been watching lately.
Mm-hmm.
So Amazon bought the Lord of the Rings, really a period of time in like Tolkien's work, which is like a time period, like I think it's like the Second Age or something is what they call it, but it's like a 3,000 year history right before the Lord of the Rings, so that they could do like a couple series about some of the stories that happened then that lead up to like Sauron and the Lord of the Rings. So Amazon's bought it, and it was like the most hyped thing ever. Everyone's way pumped because they've invested so much money, and some of these stories are really fun and awesome. And we're thinking we're going to get like a Game of Thrones because they can be a little more violent, a little bit more like crazy.
Sure.
And instead, so the first season was this way, and so I mean, I deserve this for watching the second season. Instead, it's like the most pure, like it's so terribly written and so unwatchable. Like that's like the best way to describe it. Like the only reason I watch it is to like take those glimmers of like the story out of it, and it's like terrible. Like the most recent episode they have, I mean, I'm sorry to like blow the stories, but they have like this, the orcs are now good guys. They've just been misunderstood. And so the orc daddy is like with his mom and baby. I'm like, this is like
the most epic thing that people paid all this money for, and it's not working.
But it's because of the writing is so freaking bad. Like it's so bad.
It's the times, dude. I think there was a mixture of like you saw it at a very impressionable age. Also, there was better writing, better directing, more like less CGI. Stuff's not as good now. So like, why are we expecting like the same results?
Let me tell you something really wrong. Okay, there's sexual chemistry between Galadriel and Elrond. Do you know that Galadriel is Elrond's mother-in-law?
I'm getting a cold just listening to this. I'm getting sick.
You know how that affects me?
I need some.
And anybody out there with a mother-in-law, would they have to watch that stuff on TV?
Yeah. No,
it's wrong.
I really want to just advise the Lord of the Rings community to just chill out. Enjoy the movies you had. You're not getting what they were.
Hey, do you know what they are making, though? I'm curious to see. Is they're making a Harry Potter series.
On HBO.
Are you excited about that?
I'm very excited about that.
Just because of its HBO? Or
yes. I think it'll be different because they're following. Each season's going to be like that year. So I think, the movie, like the books were great and the movies were just decent. Like
the last three I thought were solid. I guess
solid.
4.
I watch them all the time because my kids like, and I like them. I like going to that escapist world where I'm like this part of the scene. But yeah, I think I'm not expecting it to be incredible, but I'm definitely interested in it.
Well, J.K. Rowling's executive producing, which is what I like
cool.
about it. I feel like otherwise you're going to get somebody in there that's like, yeah, no, we appreciate her story, but we need to make this relatable.
She kind of lost credibility though with me when she said that she wished Harry and Hermione had
hooked up.
When in my head, I didn't see the chemistry. I thought her and Ron actually made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I didn't like Hermione with anybody. Maybe like
this is like she might be like the
childless cat lady.
Like when they talk to Bob Dylan now about the lyrics he wrote, he's like, I don't have a freaking clue how I wrote those, and it was just a moment of time, like by the grace of God, I was able to bust these lyrics out.
Yeah,
and that could be the same thing with like, you know.
Well, if you watch like the Fantastic Beasts, because she's executive produced those too, and those are
exactly.
So
that's
terrible.
what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know. I don't have a ton of. I'm interested.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to.
It all depends on who they cast as.
They could just follow. Like they could just literally just say, "Hey, here's your script," and just give them all the books, and just say, "This is the book." Like let's just do these scene for scene. Because if we have a whole season to do one book, just do the scene for scene.
Yeah.
Could you do that? I mean, you've written some screenplays.
Yeah, but they're very erotic.
Help you.
Mine are a little more, almost like too erotic, even for like daytime HBO. So yeah, I mean, I'd enjoy writing them. I'd enjoy casting, like, you know, Luna Ludwig. Is it Luna Ludwig? Ludgood?
Lovegood, I think so. I want to
who
say
would you cast?
but I'm like, that's Simpsons.
I mean, is there enough young actors nowadays? Like, I don't even know who these people are. Like, who?
I hope they don't. Like, I think they. I liked how they cast people that were like.
I'm down if it's an all-American cast. Then I'm gonna watch it.
They have to start off as 11-year-olds.
Yeah, but they'll cast like 15-year-olds.
11-year-olds.
Yeah.
They didn't do that in the first one.
The movie?
The movies aren't.
Yeah, but I'm talking this is HBO, the show, so they have to like.
You think they have to figure out how a way to get these wizards?
Well, HBO's audience is like adults, and so they have to like. I mean, you're going for like we're all adults now. We watch, but like we'll want a little bit older looking people. That's what I'm guessing, at least. Maybe it's just me. Legal people, legal, so I don't feel.
Yeah, we'll give you an update when it hits. If she doesn't get canceled before then, we'll get you. If the whole series doesn't get canceled.
Yeah, at least it'll make it a season.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly looking forward to the new White Lotus.
Oh, is there a new White Lotus coming out? Oh,
new White Lotus is going to be based in Thailand, which would be awesome.
That's cool.
I'm really trying to get, like, my son is obsessed with the movie, The Escape? The Rescue about the Thailand soccer team.
Yep.
He's watched the documentary, like, literally, like, every night he wants to watch it. He's, like, fascinated by it. It's a great movie. But he's like, hey, Dad, is Thailand in Utah? I'm like, no. Like, no, Thailand's not in Utah, bro.
I love that show.
Which one?
I liked both seasons. Oh, they're both freaking.
Yeah, they're both different.
So well done.
So what White Lotus does, the first movie is more about like it has kind of like an undertone of money is like the thing, and then the second movie, the undertone's sex. You can kind of tell off the vibe of the season, and I don't know what the third one's going to be. I haven't looked into that, but I just know it's in Thailand at some cool hotel.
Yeah.
So that should be sweet. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
Bang, bang. Go Niners.
I know. It was a nice win.
Hopefully McCaffrey comes back.
We're going, dude. This is our year. But I'm not going to the Super Bowl with you or Dad. You're exed. Bad luck.
I don't blame you.